Cormac here from Parenting Research Centre, head office in Melbourne. Welcome, and again, good morning to all those attending this Healthy Start webinar. It's great to have you on the line, whether it's you're using your telephone earphones or you're using sound through your computer, and to have you connected with our webinar online to view the actual visuals. For those of you who may have your first time with Healthy Start webinars, I'll just do a quick introduction around Healthy Start and then what these webinars are about. Healthy Start being a national initiative around supporting parents who have a learning difficulty or intellectual disability and their families. That initiative has been running for a number of years with federal funding, and it contains a number of different strategies to support families. One of them, of course, is to work closely with services. Another is to work with researchers and to develop and disseminate the latest evidence supporting these families. And of course, another general strategy is to work with policymakers and government to hopefully influence over time the service system more generally around supporting families in this space. Healthy Start's activities under those strategies break into a number of different things. One of those activities is the idea of running webinars like this. So these webinars, and we've had a number of them over the last couple of years, we find are quite successful in getting some good sharing to happen, some good knowledge exchange to happen. We like to vary the webinars between perhaps sharing knowledge from a research perspective, or sometimes sharing knowledge from a practice perspective, and also sharing knowledge from the perspective of families themselves and having parents share their stories and experiences when it comes to how they've interacted with and experienced support. So that's the kind of content we generally like to plug into these webinars. They run for approximately 30 minutes, give or take, and then we'll have a short amount of time at the end for some questions and answers, which you can essentially log while you're online, folks, by just going through the questions part of the interface, which is on the right-hand side in that main sort of tool area. You can ask questions there at any time, and our team here will pick them up and we'll have them noted for the end of the presentation. Otherwise, I'll just move on to introduce who we have today on this webinar. And this webinar is focusing on that experience from the field type approach. We have a webinar entitled Totally Awesome Parents Group, a play group for parents with intellectual disability or learning difficulty. So this is sort of a case study webinar, sort of a story from the field, if you will. And we have two presenters here today who will share the air waves and talk about what they have experienced in setting up this play group, this supported play group. We have Mandy Lyons and Georgina Devereaux. I'll do a quick introduction for both, and then we can switch over to the guys and they can start with their short presentation. Mandy Lyons has a background in early childhood and early parenting and holds qualifications in mothercraft nursing and holds a postgraduate in education. Mandy's worked in a variety of settings with parents and children, and during the past 13 years, Mandy's worked with families who have been experiencing additional challenges in their parenting role. So it's a perfect fit for the families Healthy Start aims to support. Over the past 7 years, Mandy's worked in local government and enhanced maternal childhood and health service, and in home visiting capacity and parent education programs. And over this time, Mandy's, and especially in the work with Enhanced MCH, she's recognized the gap in community services for parents who have learning difficulties. And Mandy teamed up with Georgina Devereaux to develop and seek funding for a program to support parents in this space. Georgina has been working in various family support, early childhood settings for over 20 years. And she's worked with supported playgroups and vulnerable families for at least 5 years in her role as playgroup support and development officer. Georgina is very enthusiastic about supporting parents with learning difficulties and doing that in the local community setting. And she's used her experience in playgroup development to co-develop the Totally Awesome Parents Playgroup. So as a duo, Mandy and Georgina will now talk us through what what essentially happened in their local community setting and what the learnings have been from that. And now, can you hear me, both of you, Mandy and Georgina?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so we'll now transfer control of what people are viewing to you, and we'll be able to kick off on the presentation part of the webinar. So what you should see is the box asking, do you want to show your screen? Here we go.
Okay, thank you for that introduction, Derek. And Georgina and I are very excited and pleased to be presenting this bit of a chat today about the Totally Awesome Parents Playgroup, because we feel quite passionate and about the program, and so it's a great opportunity to be able to share our experiences with the audience. First of all, and what we're going to do during the presentation, we're just going to take turns of talking. So I'm just going to, this is Mandy, I'm just going to start off now. And just to, well, we're just having some technical difficulties as we start. Just trying to move to the next slide. It's not. Okay, maybe click into the presentation. What's doing that? Okay. Here we go. Here we go. All right. Okay. So just a bit of an overview about parents who have an intellectual disability. They're usually categorised as having IQ less than 70, and the families that we have coming along to our playgroup are usually in the mild range of intellectual disability. They might have also been classified by one of the support workers as having a learning difficulty. So sometimes we have families attending who are in the mild IQ range, and other times they've identified as having some sort of learning difficulty, such as dyslexia, or they might have had a long-term difficulties with their school learning. Sometimes they've had an aid at school, sometimes they've gone to a special development school, sometimes they've gone to a mainstream school. They come from a variety, but they've all identified they do have some sort of learning difficulty.
Okay, and just on the screen you'll see a list of experiences, poor living conditions, unemployment, victims of violence or bullying, abuse, poor health, limited family support, etc. These circumstances aren't experienced by all of our families. Many of our families with learning difficulties have grown up in happy and supportive homes with stable families. But generally, on the whole, we know that people with intellectual disabilities or learning difficulties generally have poor living conditions. Parents might be unemployed and rely on Centrelink payments, or they may be employed, however poorly paid. Single mothers, women, are often preyed upon by domineering men who may not have their best interests in mind. At this point, there's no actual Australian figures, so we don't know how many families have parents with an intellectual disability within Australia. Research is currently being conducted, and I believe Healthy Start is conducting some prevalence research. There'll be 3 reports in total, and 2 are currently available on the Healthy Start website. So they're getting a clearer number of families that are headed by parents with learning difficulties, and they're getting this information from different health professionals.
So I thought I'd talk about a little bit about how the playgroup began. With my work through the Enhanced Maternal Child Health program, I was finding there was a lot of families coming through the program that had either an intellectual disability or significant learning difficulties. And as we know, it's difficult enough when you're a first-time parent or even a second-time parent in your parenting role, but parents who have learning difficulties have additional challenges that other parents may not face, and they require some really long-term ongoing support with their parenting. There didn't seem to be many suitable programs around or programs that offered ongoing support. There's lots of short-term programs, but there wasn't anything that really suited the needs for the families. These families suffer they're quite socially isolated, have low self-esteem, and are not likely to join regular play groups, etc., and need a bit of support to go out in the community, feel confident to join groups. And in my role in parent education groups, I was once running a new parents group with about 6 or 7 families, and we had one of the participants was a mum with an intellectual disability, and she was great. She came along every week with her little child and really wanted to be a member of that new parents group and just be a regular mum. And usually at the end of the groups, on week 6, we get the parents to exchange phone numbers and addresses, and then they normally continue to meet in each other's homes, or they'll meet in a cafe or at a park or somewhere and keep that social connection. Well, this mum who had the intellectual disability was very excited at the end of the group, and she said, I want to have a group at my place next week, can you all come to my place? And it was really a sad moment because you could have heard a pin drop, because no one responded to this mum. They wouldn't give her eye contact, and they just did not respond to her. And this was really sad for this mum, because she just wanted to be a regular mum and be part of a mum's group. And the other mums really outed her and didn't want to participate. So that was really sad. And I was seeing a fair bit of this, where these mums were really excluded from a lot of groups in the community. So it was really building a case for why we should have some sort of ongoing support and help link these mums into mainstream groups as well, where they could feel connected and valued and welcomed as well.
Okay, I've got some research there in regards to the benefits of a supported playgroup, and I suppose I should explain a supported playgroup is where you have a facilitator or facilitators actually running the playgroup, supporting the families. So we've got some information up there. I won't read it out, but the research tells us that parents who are supported with their parenting experience have greater long-term success in parenting. And we know that this support should be long-term with the families that they're working with. It should also, or that we're working with, it should also be ongoing, and the information that we give should be suited to their learning styles. And recent research, the research down the bottom there, you can probably see that it shows that playgroup attendance can have a positive effect on any child's learning and social outcomes. So playgroups are a good thing for all children.
So our vision for the playgroup was to provide parents with intellectual disabilities and learning difficulties and their children an opportunity to socialise with peers in a supported setting to gain parenting information in an informal manner as suited to their learning styles, and as a soft entry point for parents to engage with other community and support services for both adult and child. And of course to have fun, and they certainly do have a lot of fun in our playgroup. It's lovely to see these parents feeling welcomed and making friends and having fun.
Okay, so the development of our playgroup, we knew that this was something that we wanted to do, and an opportunity became available to us to apply for some funding in early 2012, and that our submission was successful, and the funding was made available through Communities for Children in Frankston. After, setting everything up and doing a lot of the groundwork and interviews and whatnot, our playgroup was established in October 2012, and we named it the Frankston Totally Awesome Parents Playgroup. And we need to acknowledge Angela Alexander. She developed a parent group in Warrnambool with the same name, and we loved the name and asked Angela if we could use it, and she said yes. So thanks to Angela.
So a little bit about the way how our playgroup runs. We have 2 qualified facilitators, and we're very fortunate to have facilitators from different backgrounds. We have a speech pathologist, and we also have an early intervention, early education specialist as well. So qualified staff from 2 different disciplines is really important, I think. And facilitators are really used to working in other programs as well with children with additional needs, as well as working with families with quite complex issues. The playgroup meets weekly for 2 hours. We have a range of activities for age and stage of the children attending. The parents also have a big input into the playgroup, where they get to select what topics they'd like to talk about or activities that their children like doing. So we really draw a lot on the parents to help us with the planning of the playgroup as well. We provide a healthy morning tea each week, which is a great opportunity for some lots of social learning and education as well. I think Georgina is going to talk a little bit more about the morning tea time soon. And it's been really great that the parents have participated in the topics, and some issues came up with, for example, safety with the internet, and discussions about that, and keeping their children safe. So we actually had the community police squad come in one session to talk about safety, how to keep your children safe, who you can trust in the community and who you can't trust. And this can be quite an issue with some people with learning difficulties. It's difficult to learn about boundaries and safety issues. So this was a really valuable session for the families. Another topic they identified that they wanted to know more about was child teething, and questions like, when's my child going to get teeth? And also there were some concerns with parental dental concerns as well. So we got a dental nurse in to have a chat at one of the sessions, and that was really well received, and she brought in some little giveaway toothbrushes and toothpaste, and that was great because it helped the parents to follow up on children's dental hygiene, brushing their teeth, etc. We've had, during the playgroup, the parents have brought up lots of other topics too, about quite serious topics sometimes. We've had parents share the stories about having postnatal depression. We've had another discussion about bullying. A lot of them, the parents talked about how they were bullied at school, and it was quite interesting to hear them share them stories, and just for each other to hear about experiences that they've experienced, but other people have gone through that as well. So it gives them a bit of a sense of they're not the only one, that there's other people shared their
in their responses, in particular the bullying and the different types of education that they receive. There was one dad who'd been to, that many schools, and so it was his education was very disjointed, and he actually recognised that it was important for his daughter, it was important for him that his daughter went to the same school from prep to grade 6 and without any interruptions or this constant moving. And it was just great to hear him, have that thought, and it was great that he expressed those comments too. Right, so on to morning tea. And I don't know one person who doesn't like to eat. We're all very good eaters here at the playgroup. And it's also a great opportunity for learning, role modelling and participating in food and food preparation. When the families arrive, when their children are quite small, and we talked about the introduction of first foods, and we noticed that a lot of our families were bringing in those squeezy bags of mashed up fruit or vegetables or whatnot, and they're actually quite expensive, those packets. So the facilitators of the playgroup demonstrated how easy it was to actually prepare basic first foods for babies. So the parents cut up the pumpkin, they steamed it, they mashed it, showed them how to store it, and we did that over a number of sessions, and it was always being presented at morning tea time. And as the children got older, we developed them through to finger foods and then moving them on to family foods. We try to introduce a new food each week. So sliced cucumber, steamed veggies, dip and veggie sticks, that sort of thing. And we have got one mum in the group who's quite a keen cook, and she really seems to enjoy preparing morning tea and taking part in that routine. It's also a really good opportunity to notice if a child has any food issues, such as the ability to chew. So the facilitators will take this opportunity to role model, discuss with parents how they can follow through with this at home, different strategies that they can use. We had a little chap who was continuously stuffing food into his mouth. The strategies were given to this family, and we felt it was necessary to make a referral. And so that's gone ahead, and everything's running along nicely. It's also a great opportunity to talk about safety with food. So, we sit down when we're eating, strapping children into high chairs, hygiene and hand washing, setting the table, wiping the table down, that sort of thing. But we do it in a fun way. It's part of the routine, and the families have sort of got the knack of what the routine is, and yeah, it's great to hear that they're following through with this at home. You can probably see photos of our veggie garden, which has been a terrific opportunity for the families to participate in. They've done all that planting and looking after the garden, and we've also been fortunate enough to be able to use some of the vegetables in our cooking. You can probably see an omelette up there, which was presented at morning tea time. And it was lovely to hear that one of the families actually recreated an omelette at home to enjoy for dinner that night. They also have the opportunity to take some of the vegetables home and to be able to cook them at home. And we've actually inspired one parent to create his own veggie patch. This family lives in a unit. However, they've utilised the space to be able to have their own little plot and use tubs and whatnot to create their own vegetable garden, which is fantastic. So here they are having morning tea, and this has been taken a while ago when some of the babies were a bit younger, and I think here they're progressing through the next stage, which they're being offered some finger foods. And morning tea is a really good time for a bit of information or sharing some
education on topics that come up, and on this occasion, one of the parents was wanting to know what else they could give their child and to eat, saying they were going to the next stage of their food development. So we had some little booklets out and some little recipes, little basic recipes and photos of different foods. So we took that moment to discuss what other foods and how to make the foods. And so the morning tea time is a really great opportunity for role modelling and giving information, and also for socialising as well. Lots of really great conversations happen at morning tea time.
And here's a slide with some photos of different activities that are presented at the group. We really focus on parent-child interactions, eye contact, talking to your child, that sort of thing. We also introduce books into every session, regardless of the age. I just need to make a point. Some of these families have low literacy, and we don't focus on sit down with your child and read them a story. We talk about sharing the book, pointing to pictures, naming what's in the pictures on the book, and this works really well. So you can see that there's a bit of story time going on, and rest assured that child is not eating another baby, it is a doll.
One session we decided to have a self-care session and pamper session, and during this session we had some brainstorming, and we don't usually bring out the whiteboard. I know this looks very much like the school room, but this is the one-off, but we decided just to throw around some ideas on ways we could look after ourselves when we were feeling a bit stressed, or we needed to take some time out. And so these are the ideas that the families came up with. And afterwards, we typed out their suggestions and with pictures, using little pictures as well, and printed it out and gave that to the families so they could take that home and have that as a just a reminder of things that they could do to take time out for themselves and de-stress. And through this session, we also we had pamper packs, which we gave the families. We had little things like shampoo and soap and nice little goodies that we gave out, and we also brought in some foot spas, and yeah, it was a really lovely session for them. And after this had happened, we had one of the families who had fairly low self-esteem, and this mum decided that she'd actually didn't like photos of herself and wasn't feeling great about herself. She actually decided to join one of the local gyms. We've got a really great little gym in a shopping centre which is quite low cost, and she decided to join the gym, and she's been attending regularly. She's actually lost a lot of weight. She's thinking about eating healthier foods, and she's really feeling really great about herself now. And in fact, I'll just tell a little story about this mum. We take lots of photos during the playgroup, and earlier on this mum didn't want to be in any of the photos because she really hated herself in the photos. But yesterday at the playgroup we had the camera out, and she actually came up to me and said, "Can you take a photo of me and my child together?" And that was a really big moment because she's got to the stage now she's really feeling great about herself, and she's got a lot of those ideas that she's following through that we talked about at our pamper session, which is great.
And here we've got some more photos again of things that are happening at playgroup. You can see a dad there with his child. We try to set up activities that can be replicated at home. So that little photo down in the bottom right-hand corner, playing peekaboo. That mum's playing peekaboo with her little girl. This is something that can be done at home. and something easy for the families to be able to copy at home. I mean, you know, we all know toys can be quite costly, and a lot of these families don't have much, so we try to make things a bit easier by providing them activities that they can replicate at home.
Part of the playgroup is that we do take lots of photos of the families each week, and we use these photos. We actually give families copies of all the photos we take, but we also use the photos in a newsletter that we print out and give just to the families that do attend the playgroup. And they love to get the newsletter because not only well, mainly because it's photos of themselves and with their children as well. But in the newsletter, we also perhaps talk about what we've been doing, any particular activity that we've been doing. We might have a little recipe that we've used in the playgroup. One of the playgroup participants has actually taken part in the newsletter now where she has her top 5 questions, so she takes turn in asking someone in the playgroup things like, you know, what's your favourite movie, where would you like to go on holiday, questions like that. So it's a bit of fun, but she's really taken that on board and really participating in that newsletter. What other things do we put in our newsletter?
Well, maybe some little safety tips about now that the children are toddlers and really mobile. We talk about road safety. A lot of our families walk to playgroup, so just tips on road safety and keeping everyone safe whilst walking to playgroup.
And we also, if there's a family that's missed out on a couple of sessions of playgroup, we'll post them the newsletter, so they're kept linked in with the playgroup, so they still feel included and know what's happening. The playgroup, of course, is an opportunity for families to create friendships within the group, and it's been beautiful to see the friendships blossom within the group, and the families are meeting now outside of the playgroup, and they'll text each other or they'll get on Facebook and chat on Facebook, or they'll meet sometimes after the playgroup. They'll all leave together and walk over to the shopping centre and have some lunch, or they've met in the park, and they've done lots of activities outside of the playgroup, which is fantastic that they've found these new friends. During the playgroup too, it's an opportunity to link families into other community agencies. For example, we have quite a strong link with maternal child health, so if there's any concerns that the parents identify with their children, we can talk with their maternal child health nurse, or help link them in with their health nurse, or perhaps there's other supports that they need in the community or a referral. So we can easily refer them onto other agency, and this really is a great way of keeping the families supported when they need that support. Yes, and sometimes, you know, they come up with questions that we can't answer, but we certainly are able to source that information and get back to them about how to link into particular services in the community.
And here's some examples of our outings that we've arranged, picnics at local parks and whatnot. We try to ensure that all the outings are no cost and within the local area. And as Mandy mentioned, they have made some really great friendships with one another and do meet regularly outside of playgroup. So if someone's having a birthday party, they'll invite the other families. They meet at cafes. We've overheard a couple of dads organising a barbecue to take place on a weekend. A couple of the dads have organised to meet up at football matches, which is fun. I will sometimes see them on the weekend at our local library. they'll head off to the beach. So yeah, it's great to see that they're picking up on the outings.
Our referrals for the program come through local community support agencies. So we try to get the information out there and promote the playgroup that is available. And so we prefer the referrals through an agency because they can properly explain to the family what the playgroup is about. So if you just put an ad in the community, sometimes it's difficult. The most difficult part we've had about promoting the group is sometimes, and this comes from professionals too, they look at the blurb about the group, but they mistake it for a group for parents who have a child with a disability, and so it's really good to be able to speak with the person who's referring to the group to make sure that's clear and to give them a good overview of what the group is about.
And this is just the front cover of our flyer. As you can see on the front, it says for parents who have experienced learning difficulties. So we're quite upfront and honest about who the group is for and what it's about.
There's been some unexpected outcomes from the group. It had some fantastic outcomes, and particularly for the dads' participation. We've had quite a few dads attend the playgroup, and I suppose that's probably because the difficulties some of the dads have with employment, and so they are available and at home and able to come to the group. But it's been really lovely to have them come along to the group, and there's been some really great friendships that have occurred between the dads in the group, and they've also gone on to meet outside of the group in the community for some activities. For example, there's a couple of dads who have met up and gone to the footy together. We had a men's forum here in Frankston last year, and a couple of the dads decided they would go to the forum and came back to the playgroup and said it was great and they really enjoyed it, and they felt really, really pleased that they participated in this forum for dads, and that was fantastic. And we also had a dads playgroup running for a short term in Frankston, and one of the dads was invited to the playgroup, and when this dad was talking to one of the other dads in the group, he was saying, I'm going to this dad's playgroup, and the other dad said, oh, I want to go along too. So he actually went along with this other dad to the dad's playgroup. So that was great for them to do that, and it's great to know that they feel comfortable had a good experience in one group, and they feel comfortable then to move on to another group in the community. So that was a fantastic outcome. Also had some lessons that we've learned through the playgroup. One is the importance of referral and engagement process, and I feel that you have to do that right for it to be successful. And we've found that when perhaps there's been an agency that family's been working with, or it might be a maternal child health nurse, or it might be a support worker, if that worker brings the family along to the playgroup for the first time, and they have a really good welcoming to the playgroup, they're more likely to come back again and return to the playgroup independently, which is really what we want to see. So what we call a warm referral is when another worker will bring that family along to the playgroup. So that's been very successful. We've also learned about the parents' learning styles. They all have different learning styles, but we've found what's been really powerful in the group is role modelling, demonstrating something while the parent's watching and allowing them to have a go as well is really great. Also, impromptu education and learning when the parents engage. It's no point talking to the parent about a topic when they're really not wanting to listen. An example, we were talking about safety topic one week, because the parents had talked about how their children are more mobile and getting into things. So we talked about, you know, keeping a safe environment, and we had a really great safety DVD, which we thought was fantastic to put on. So we put that on for the group. And again, it was a bit like being in the schoolroom. All the parents really disengaged very quickly and did not want to watch this video as a group. So we sort of learned that wasn't maybe a way to introduce some information, and it was more powerful when we had the impromptu learning when the parent was engaged. That worked best. And also very important to revisit the topic to solidify information, and sometimes you might need to go back and talk about that topic again and again and again, and check in with the family too. Are they really understanding that conversation you had the week before? And might be something to do with the child sleep routine, checking in how that's going, asking the parent to, in their words, you know, what their experience is, and continue checking in, but revisiting that topic just to make sure that they're understanding. And sometimes you need to revisit it several times.
Part of our Totally Awesome Parents group is that we have a network group of different professionals, and I'll just, this information isn't up on the screen, but I'll just go back and just chat a bit about the history of our network group. We actually had the Healthy Start presentation here at Frankston, and we invited various local support agencies and let them know that the Healthy Start are coming to present. Come along and see what it's all about. And we had a great turnout. Mandy and I actually got up and we spoke to everyone after the presentation to say that we're really interested in starting up this particular play group, but we're wondering if people would be interested in joining our network. So we encouraged people to express their interest, which they did. And we had people from various disciplines and backgrounds, which was terrific. We've got you know, someone from an organisation called Willara, which works with young adults who are moderately intellectually disabled, and she's been great. We've shared a lot of resources with her, and we were actually meeting once a month when we first started this network group. As the playgroup has been running for 2 years, we felt it wasn't necessary to meet so frequently. Everything was going along really well. So now the group meets each term, and as you can see, we've got different representatives from the various local support agencies in Frankston. So with Child First, Child Protection, Enhanced MCH, and other early intervention services and support services. Healthy Start also support our network group, which is great. And I guess this group really has been invaluable to the whole program. It's an opportunity for us to share different information, network. People will talk about professional development or training that they've recently been to. We have reflective practice. There's some great discussions that take place with this network group, and it's a bit of a think tank really. It's also a great opportunity to get a better understanding of one another's roles. We're all very busy and we try not to work in silos, but sometimes we can't help that. So it's really nice to understand different roles, find out information about different programs that are happening within the community.
And we try and make the meeting at a time which is most suitable for people, which is very difficult. So we try and do perhaps like a breakfast meeting, because that seems to work well, where people can come for the very first part of the day. We have a little bit of breakfast, have our meeting, and then they're off to start their work day. And that seems to work well. I think if you have scheduled them in a mid-morning or mid-afternoon, doesn't work as well because people are busy with appointments. So the breakfast meetings have worked really well.
And I guess with the network group, they've sort of passed information on to other people that they work with. It's really handy for referrals, an opportunity maybe to chat about, obviously confidentially, about some of the families attending. So yeah, this has been really crucial, the network group. So there we go.